Welcome, everyone. Monday Mindset on this December 26th, the day after Christmas. I'm pausing for about 15 seconds. I'm here with Mr. Danny Rios, and we just want to make sure everyone gets started and gets on and has a chance to live stream this bad boy. We're live streaming to 4 different channels. And why we do that is because this session is our last Monday Mindset live for a while. I've been doing this almost 2 years and I'm ready to take a break. I don't want to do it every Monday for a little while. And with this new restream format, it allows me to go live with things as they happen, as I think about them, as we need them. And we just have to change with the times and be a little bit more nimble. I hope everyone had an amazing holiday. For those of you guys who celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, I hope you had a Happy Hanukkah. And if you don't celebrate a dang thing, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. We don't really have a topic today, but I think Danny and I just kind of want to kick around the idea with 2023, 6 days away and everyone talking about their business. One of the things we get all the time is, how do I get going? How do I get started? How do I get more customers? And Danny and I are constantly talking about that for our own new endeavors with Agency Remix. And I've been constantly doing that with Agency Fast Track for 2 years. And both of us have been doing that with our agencies for many, many years. And I think, and Danny's going to chime in with me here, but I think one of the biggest things we do sometimes is overcomplicate what it is we're trying to do. So I think today I'd like to just have a conversation with another business owner, Mr. Rios, and kind of talk about how, we feel keeping it simple, going back to the basics and just doing something small will actually turn into something big. So if you guys don't know Danny's been a guest on Monday Mindset. He's a staple in the Agency Remix and revenue system programs, and he's become a dear friend, Agency Fast Track, and my business partner in 2022 and 2023. So with that said, hi, Danny.
Hi.
He of little words. Talk to me, because we were just talking about this recently. Talk to me about when you started your business and you had nothing, right? Can you remember that? Can you go back and remember that?
I can. For me, I I leveraged my existing relationships. I basically was transitioning from selling a brick and mortar business, and I was at the point like, what do I want to do? I hadn't made the decision to get into marketing, even though I loved it and I was leaning that way. I didn't have a single client. And I kind of took a month off trying to figure out what I wanted to do, kind of explored a few employment opportunities because I was like, you know what, I'm going to look around, maybe make some money. I wasn't sure. It was a very chaotic time just because, selling a brick and mortar business is no easy feat when there's transition and everything like that. But anyway, when I did finally make the decision, I obviously started going up. I started leveraging the business relationships I used. I mean, since I was a business owner, I did have relationships with my vendors. I had relationships with some of my customers. And over the course, that was in 2017, over the course of about, I think it took me about 4 years. If that's not baby stepping, I don't know what is, but it took me about 4 years of just baby stepping it to where I finally felt like I had done it. There was a long time where I was just, two step forwards, two steps back, not going anywhere. And what I mean by that is I get a great client, like someone that'll be paying me 3,000 a month, 4,000 a month, or whatever. And then I would either sacrifice so much of my time that I couldn't do anything else. That was it. I was maxed out with my current workload, or I get a $3,000 a month client, and then over the next 3 months, I lost two $1,500 a month clients, and I broke even. And my strategy. I mean, I was very, very like whatever the customer needs. I wanted to learn everything, and I did SEO. I avoided websites, but I did them, just because it was, from my perspective, I hadn't mastered it like you had. It was very subjective. I didn't have a team that made it efficient, and I just couldn't charge the amount of money, say starting at 5 grand with my business reputation. I was in the same rut that every agency owner was in, right? I need the money. I've got bills. So the client would be able to pick up on it. I couldn't walk in with the swagger I have now and say that's going to be $7,500. And let me tell you why you need to spend it, because it's going to cost you more if you don't. I didn't have that training, that confidence, that this and that. And it took me a while to get to that point. And it took for me to get fed up. And anyway, so getting back to the point is that the baby steps is what really made it happen for me. I started going after the client I wanted, and those were hard to find, and they still are, but what I did is during my normal walk of life, I would basically talk to anybody, and I'd be at a restaurant, and I someone would start talking to me in the line, and it's happened. Oh yeah, oh, by the way, what do you do? And in my mind, I'm thinking, do I have any solutions to problems they may have? And I did that for years. But to me, that's how I generated business. But looking back, what I wish I would have done to make that even more effective is I would have forced myself to get into those purposeful microtransactions. Just to have a conversation where it just seems organic. And I'm realizing that, speaking with our community, Lisa, that I see a lot of me out there. And so
Young Danny, like,
yeah, younger. I don't know if I'm young anymore, but the I just kind of realized, I go, what would I do if I had to start over? And I would set myself very, very reasonable and small attainable goals. And I think with the new year coming up, I think I'm going to do that again for what you and I have planned for this year. And that mentality really comes from being able to accomplish something, getting a little rock pick and chipping away a little bit at a time. And after you do that for a few months, you realize, wait a minute, I broke this boulder. I broke it down. Instead of looking at this boulder, man, I got to do this. I've got this bill to pay. I got that. And it's hard not to look at it like that. But you need, in my opinion, it's so much easier to tackle a long list of to-do items one at a time. And I'm the king of having too much on my plate, and honestly getting overwhelmed. And so I have to refocus myself, and what better time than the new year to say, you know what? I just need to do this little thing today.
yep.
And then I need to do this little thing tomorrow. Or if you prefer, make 2 little things a week. And going back to former self, say, self, I wish you would have just said, I'm going to walk into one business a day. And I don't mean walk in cold. Lisa said it better than I. That's not what I do. I don't like having forced conversations. It is out of my comfort zone. I am not that good of a salesman. Some people have that, right? But I'll tell you what I will do is I will walk into a restaurant and have a meal. I'll tell you what I will do is, like, you guys, some of you guys that know me know that my background's automotive, and we currently have a window tint, car alarm, car accessory shop. Damn right, I'll walk into a couple tint shops and pretend like I'm trying to get a quote, start a conversation. It doesn't have to be, I want to sell this. It could be you could be walking in trying to learn about their product like a normal customer and just starting a conversation. And if nothing comes out of it, great. You met your goal. You still have another business to walk into tomorrow or two a week. I mean, depending on how busy you are. And I feel that eventually, after you do that enough times, because you'll crash and burn, takes a little while to get comfortable there. You're going to get good at it, you know. And to be honest with you, I'm comfortable enough now with my pitch that I can walk into a business and pitch them because I've gotten to the point where I'm shameless because I'm that confident. You know, I'm like, hey, you know what? I have something for you. I think it'd be great. If you're not interested, great. Have a good one. You know, I'm a no nonsense pitch, and I think people
Do
appreciate
you
that.
think that's because, Danny, you took the personal rejection out of the equation? Like, they're not rejecting
Yeah.
you. I mean, that's how I feel, like, if
Yeah.
somebody rejects me in my previous self, if I go back 8, 10 years, rejection meant I failed. Whereas now, all these years later, rejection means, well, they're not in the right place to accept what I have right now.
Absolutely.
It's interesting how we change as we do and do and do and keep going.
Mhm.
Do you
It
find that to be the same thing? Like it was the rejection
absolutely,
maybe in the beginning?
absolutely, and I believe what got me there, Lisa, is that I realized I had enough customers that were happy that were sticking with me because my traditional agency, remember, was SEO, pay per click, building chatbots, doing light automation and stuff like that. And I started picking up what I would consider baby customers. Now they're not baby customers. Hey, let me sell you a local remix or whatever for 200-300 a month. And then I realized, man, that 200-300 a month is making me a killing every year. When you multiply that by 12, and I'm not having to meet with them every week. So I started realizing I started making more money per hour. And so when I had enough of those customers, and none of those customers have left, and since I started, right, which I want to say was in 19, late 19, all those customers are
That's
still
when
there.
you started doing the SaaS.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Forgive me. And so I think so a switch flipped. I I get frustrated like anyone else. And I just said, you know what? I don't even care. They get it. They don't. That was part of it. The other part is that I've helped plenty of customers that are still there, that know it works. And so I really started to believe it. I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't like, I have something so great, let me convince you. I'm like, I have something great. And if you want it, here it is. I'd love to show it to you. If you're not, hey, you know what? Thanks. You go do what you do. I'm on to the next one. And it was because I think the other part of that frustration, Lisa, was that I started learning, being able to tell the telltale signs of good and bad customers. And you can always be wrong. But, I mean, think about it. When you walk in and sometimes you just click and someone says, man, this is great, you're going to have a good customer. But if you got to go through 50 objections for someone to pull the trigger, well, guess what? They're probably going to have 50 objections as things go on. And there's nothing wrong with that because sometimes, I mean, one can be one or the other, but
But
I'm
they're typically the customers that don't stick as
yeah,
well because they didn't buy into the vision, they didn't buy into the result, whatever it is. If they didn't in the beginning get it, then they're waiting for you
you to do it.
to do it instead of being a part of, my I love this time of year because at Christmas time, I go around and I visit all of my existing customers that are a certain threshold, right? They have to spend X number of dollars or more. And if they do, not only do they get a beautiful gift basket from me, but they also get lunch or dinner or, even just coffee, whatever it is, whatever they have time for, I'm open to them. And I meet with them. And what I've noticed is the customers that have been with me the longest, they're excited for that meeting because We're planning the next year, and they're coming to the table in those meetings, and I just had them. That's why they're fresh in my mind. They're coming to those meetings telling me about their wins and their successes. Hey, I noticed, we're getting more of this, or I noticed this is happening. Um, and then they're coming to the table with their, I really would like to focus more on this keyword. I'd like to move into this territory. Do you think we have enough budget? They don't say the words to me like the customers that tend to quit more like, oh, well, how much more can you do for this price? Right? The customers that are sticky tend to get it. And it's a good feeling. Like you almost know. I think when we're starting out where we really fail ourselves, Danny's been there, I've been there, every business owner has been there. We need to pay the rent. And because we need to pay the rent, we take on the clients that we know in our hearts, we know in our minds, we know these aren't going to be good clients. These people are either going to suck us dry emotionally, they're going to take the most of our time, they're going to cause us stress, they're going to cause us problems, and we take them because we need the money. So I think going into 2023, I know me, for example, I want to take less of that. And we're all going to do it. I mean, I recognize you shouldn't do it. And I still do it because, oh, this
Do it,
bill
gotta get
came
paid.
in and it ruined my week. I wasn't expecting, like for me, for example, I had something fall in my lap that's going to cost me 10 grand. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I got to come up with 10 grand cash like within a month or two. And I would normally then make bad decisions, right? Some customers willing to give me 3 grand a month. Man, if I know it's a bad customer, I need to pass. Even though I in my mind say I need the money, I need to pass. And when I have the courage, and Danny, tell me if this works for you, when I have the courage and I have the strength to do what's right, most often right behind that customer I passed up is the customer I needed. But if I don't pass that customer up, I'll never see the customer that was on the wings waiting because I'm too busy dealing with the one that's not a good fit. So I don't even do the things that would have got the next best customer. So I think really, Danny, what I love that you said was having, the experience of all these years has taught you that don't force it. I mean, that's what I heard you say. Like, don't force a situation that's not there. And right now, some of you guys might be thinking you're talking to me because we had a conversation. No, we're talking to everybody. Maybe I'm
Well,
thinking like right now, I'm thinking about someone I just had a conversation with this thing. And yes, I'm probably talking to you too. But we do this. Danny's done this. I've done this. Every business owner on the planet's done it. You know it's not a good fit. But because it's the only lead that you have right now, you cling to it.
yeah.
And you spin your wheels and you waste your time on it. When in fact, get that time back. That 10 hours you're going to blow doing something that probably isn't going to work out and it's really a Hail Mary 10-hour attempt. Spend that 10 hours working lead gen.
Well, I'd like to add something to that because I just realized that sometimes you have no choice. You got to take that bad client. I get that. But think to yourself, what would you take are you charging enough to put up with it?
The
Okay. And
the
that's
the stupid charge, right?
right. Right. The
I'd be
goal, I
stupid
call
to
it the
take
go
this
away.
client unless
Yeah. Well, I have a more colorful word. I call it the go away price. Right. And it at least in that case, while I'm grinding my teeth, knowing that they could quit in a month or 3 months, you know, I'm at least getting paid for my time because one thing that happened to me, Lisa, and I know it's happened to you, and I know it's happened to almost everybody out there, is you think, man, this person's going to pay me 2 grand. And then you realize this is going to take me 20 hours a week in the beginning. And then they're going to quit. Okay, yeah, maybe in a year that 2 grand a month is good money because you may only be work because you did all the work. You're kind of charging rent, so to speak, for the property you own because you did something cool and they can't do it without you, whatever. But the point is, most of the time when there's that much amount of work, say to yourself, 20 hours a week, that's 80 hours. Do you want to work for 80 hours to make $2,000 or 1,000 or whatever the number is? And if the answer is yes, okay, well then maybe that client is on the edge where they may be okay for you. But I can say for me, that's a no. I would fool myself in thinking 2 grand a month, man, that's my rent. Let me do it. But I wouldn't realize how much work I was putting in, front loading it to where I was working for whatever it comes out an hour, you know,
You got to look at that. I mean, it's
for 10
important.
bucks an hour. Is that what it comes out to? I don't even know.
Yeah, you got to look at that. Like when I often take on low paying websites when I'm talking to a customer and I just know, like, I've worked them, I've talked to them, and they're just not going to up their budget. Not because they don't see the value in you, because they genuinely don't have the money. And when I run into someone like that, if they only had $1,000 to spend on a website, I probably do it anyway because I'm not doing the work, right? I'm not the one who has to put in the labor. And because I have an offshore team that's less expensive, I'm still making money. I'm not losing money and I'm not losing time on the deal. That never happens in SEO, for example. There's too many hours that go. So I also think it's product dependent as well. You can take on, if you've got a team, if you've got someone who's doing the work for you, you have to think of it that way as well. So there are times where I'll take less money just to get the job,
Yeah.
but rarely in an SEO situation.
People forget, and we've talked about it already, just in a different way. People forget about the opportunity cost. I mean, if you're going to put 20 hours a week to make $2,000, what if you were to really focus and put 20 hours into being uncomfortable and doing some prospecting? You'd make a lot more than $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
So
20 hours in any kind of lead gen activity, whatever it might be, times 4, that's 80 hours. If you were really working hard during those 80 hours, like you're going to be for that client, Annie, you hit the nail on the head. You're going to find a customer maybe for the same price, but one that's better,
right,
one that's less work. It's exponentially easier to rank somebody in a low competition market than a crazy, stupid, high competition market. So even just trading the level of customer
mhm,
sometimes is worth it.
yeah, yeah, and in our main groups, Lisa, I pitch simplicity.
Yeah.
And I made that full circle, trying to be someone's marketing person. Oh, I'll never do that again. No, no, no. I'm the guy that makes sure, that helps you just get a few more leads out of your website or something, and I'm not the one generating the leads. I don't simplicity. If you keep it simple, then they understand it. Then it's easier to sell. Then it's easy to measure. There's less that can go wrong. And I may oversimplify things. I
Yeah.
don't think so, but some people may argue that, and they wouldn't technically be wrong. It works for me. And I know in my business, in our business, Lisa, the way that I position ourselves, the secret sauce is keeping it simple, but still standing out.
Yeah.
And that's no easy feat. But I feel I have found that happy spot, and it took me 5 years to find it. And I'm excited about the growth because I've been there where everybody's at right now, to where it's 2 steps forwards, 2 step back. And that's if you're lucky.
And that's everyone. Like you
Yeah.
said that earlier. And I was the same way. It's like you would get that new, like you'd close that 2 grand a month deal and you'd be celebrating for like a day and almost like some kind of law of distraction, right? You get that new customer and the next day an old customer quits. It's like, damn it. Like, it feels very I don't know, it's really like depressing almost in your business because, every time you get ahead, that, 2 steps forward, 1 steps back, sometimes 1 step forward, 2 step back. That's constant. That's not going to change, but over time, and here's the good news, here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Over time, you start eking out those customers that are so sticky that you start realizing those are the only customers I want. Like, how do I weed through the rest and find the sticky? Find the ones who get it. Find the ones who will partner with you. Find the ones that will not let you go. Sure, you still got to put in work. It's not like there's no free lunch anywhere, but that's what I would do. So, Danny, thinking of that, we try to keep these short. And what would you say if somebody's looking at 2023 and thinking about that right now? They're watching this video. They're thinking about, what am I going to do next year? What's the one thing you would say that they should focus on?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I
Right?
would say it all starts with putting the pencil to paper. You have to write down what you want to hold yourself accountable, because I am the king of not writing a dang thing down, and it's easy to ignore your plan. I'm real bad about it. As a matter of fact, I told you that a couple of days ago, Lisa, on a private call. I said, "Hey, I have this idea, and it's because I realized my weakness. I need a roadmap. I need to set these goals for myself, and I would say make it bite size. Every step needs to be a baby step. Bite size it,
So
and
talk to me about your roadmap then. I like the word roadmap. And when we were talking a couple days ago, I like that. And if you guys don't know, you won't know because we haven't told you. We're actually working on a roadmap for Agency Remix right now. We want to deliver to you guys, those of you guys in that program, like, here's what you do and here's how you do it. But even when you're given a roadmap, I think you still need to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So how would you start that?
well, I think it starts by keeping it reasonable, one, but what that reasonable is, I think it all boils down to, you have to go take have some confidence and go outside of your comfort zone. What you've been doing now hasn't given you what you want yet. And that's me, that's everybody. So it's not just
Right?
you, right? And what holds us back is what makes us uncomfortable. It's having those conversations. It's getting in front of customers. I'm sure I'm speaking your language right now. It's about, like, we all want that. Hey, if I could just get one customer, which is a good start. Not saying I want to have 10. Start with one. Get your one. Once you have one, say, okay, I'm going to have two. All right, how am I going to get my two? Focus on the two. And then how am I going to get my three? And then you could start saying, all right, now I've got my system. Now let's start getting 2 or 3 a month. Let's get it going. But it starts with what you don't want to do. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Colin, because Colin said something to me that really resonated, and he heard it from someone that he looks up to. And he said that when you start your day with the one thing you don't want to do, get it out of the way. And I still don't do it every day,
You
but
know,
I
and
still think of it.
and Danny, that's one of my favorite books. It's called The One Thing. And the whole mantra of the entire dang book is, what's the one thing, if you knock it out, nothing else matters, you're happy, you could do nothing else and you would feel like you accomplished something, because we have a tendency to not want to do that thing because that's the thing that's the hardest, biggest, but it's also the most impactful. And so we put it off and put it off and put it off, and then we get tired and then we say tomorrow. Then
Right.
we repeat said behavior. Um, so in a roadmap, the nice thing when you make a roadmap is you actually see what's coming down the road, right? So if I do these things, if I get in the car, if I turn the ignition, if I start the car, if I put it in drive, if I get on the road, if I drive here, you know you're following a roadmap and you will eventually end up somewhere. But in real life, just like being on a real road, you are going to hit potholes and red lights and train crossings and speed bumps and things that are going to slow you down. You're going to hit detours. A lot of stuff's going to come in that could distract you from the goal. But if you keep your eye on the prize, so to speak, the end of that road, whatever the roadmap is, and keep working towards it, taking the detours when you do, I think you cannot fail.
I think of just like starting to go to the gym. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do this. I'll do that. But the reality is, I mean, it's going. Going is the hard part. And the first few sessions suck. Take it from Dan, you know. But I mean, like I used to go to the gym every day for God, close to 5, 6, 7 years. Well, I wouldn't go Saturday, Sunday, every weekday. And I was in great shape. And then man, it was great not going after that. I mean, but it was part of my daily routine. I've made it since about a year and a half. I've been going 5 days a week again, trying to get my health under control. And I'll tell you what, those first couple of weeks I was miserable. I didn't like it, but I remembered it. So, I mean, but I knew that the juice was worth the squeeze. I wasn't going to come if I didn't do it. I can make excuses. All I was doing was hurting myself. And you know what? It took discipline because if I didn't do it, then it wasn't going to get done. And what I did, and this just gave me an idea, Lisa, is I hired a personal trainer. That dude gets paid whether I show up or not.
So it makes you
Oh,
accountable to somebody,
yes.
but it
Yes.
also makes you feel like I spent this money and either I'm going to do it or I'm going to quit, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
Accountability is huge. I think sometimes we overlook accountability. Doing Monday mindsets for, I mean, almost 2 years was I was accountable to show up here every Monday. I just have bigger fish to fry now, and I'm gonna create different accountabilities instead of this one. But I guarantee you, if I didn't have a 10 a.m. every Monday on the books, I wouldn't have shown up half the time. So making that accountability something super sticky is important. And if you pay for that session and you don't show up and you paid for it anyway, you ain't gonna do that too many times and not show up. You're either gonna quit and
yeah.
abandon that goal, or you're gonna show up. And for you, Danny, you showed up. You just
Well,
kept showing up, and then it
I
gets
I
easier and
wanted
easier.
I wanted what would happen if I showed up more than I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to really get control of my health. I'm a diabetic, right? I had put on some weight since the pandemic, which is when I found out I was diabetic. I mean, I'm going to tell you that from the point of high school, I weighed the same weight from high school as I did until I found out I was a diabetic. I mean, there was some fluctuation, but I weighed the same, right? Ultimately. Then they put me on insulin because my blood sugar was so high, and I put on 40 pounds in 2 months. Yeah. And I started going to the gym, and I was like, I can't live like this. I was noticing my health was deteriorating, my joints hurt. I mean, it was
So
all kinds.
you had a big reason to get your butt up and go to that gym.
That was the difference.
Yeah.
I wanted
So
it more
how
than
do
the
we take
alternative.
that and put it in business perspective, right? You got to think about, guys,
It, it's exactly the same.
yeah, what's the end result you want? You want to work less, you want to spend more time with family, you want to make more money, you want freedom, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same idea. We put together a roadmap on how we're going to get there. And then we got to suck it up, get in the car every day and get on that road. Um, it's the day after Christmas. Most people, we don't have a ton of people watching live right now. I'm sure they'll watch the replay
Yep.
because most people have told themselves, I didn't get a holiday because it was on the weekend. So I'm going to take that holiday back on a Monday.
I've got a full day today, Lisa.
I've got a full day today as well.
Yeah.
And it's because I got something bigger and better I want to do down the road, right? For me, it's an upcoming trip, but there's always something bigger and better. So some days, I'll be honest, I didn't feel like getting up this morning. I didn't feel like getting going,
Slept
but I
in.
have to.
I didn't go to
Same,
the gym.
right?
I slept in.
Yeah. But you got to get up and go. So I'm gonna kind of close this down by just saying, and we're just having a conversation here, two business owners. We thought we'd do this today instead of doing something so formal. Build a roadmap for what you want. If you haven't taken best year ever, go take that, right? Let me know if you can't find where to sign up for it. For those you guys in Agency Remix, it's absolutely free. For the rest of you guys, it's like 47 bucks. And it's not the money, it's the time. You put in the time, you do the work, you're going to create a roadmap. You're going to create a blueprint. You're going to create a strategy for 2023. I also encourage you. And remember, I don't say this because we're just trying to sell you something. I say it because we believe in what we're doing. And all we're doing is asking you to come along for a ride with us on the road. If you're tired of not having what you want, get on board with Agency Remix. We are changing lives in that program. We are changing the way people fundamentally look at business because Danny and I both had to fundamentally change the way we looked at our businesses. SEO is I have
Work.
mixed feelings. It's a
Work.
great high ticket type of recurring service, but it's nothing in the way of being passive. Nothing. The profit margins aren't really there because of how much work has to happen. So we remolded our businesses, both of us. We met and together we've changed each other's lives by changing each other's minds, which is why we come here on Monday Mindset, right? When I met Danny, I had my way of doing things. When he met me, he had his way of doing things. And together we've helped each other see there's a different path. And the path is so much better for both of us. And we're showing that path to you guys. So, if that's something you're interested in, we don't have no fancy pitch for you. We don't have any fancy go join and send you down some webinar. Listen, just get in touch. You know how to get in touch with me. You know how to get in touch with Danny. Get in touch with one of us, whoever you resonate with more. You're not going to hurt either of our feelings, right? Get in touch with us and say, hey, man, talk to me about Agency Remix. All right, you're going to hurt Danny's feelings, but, you know, get in touch with me. But seriously, no, seriously, get in touch with one of us and just ask us. We're not there to hard sell you. We're not there to pitch you. We'll walk you through and show you what's going on. We'll show you what we got available. We'll help you understand what it takes to get involved. And then you're going to join a very, very productive, very elite group because Danny and I are about to come out with a roadmap for 2023 for everyone in Agency Remix. Exactly what to do, how to do it. Now, mind you, even though we're going to give you the instructions, the roadmap, the blueprint, whatever you want to call it, understand that you've got to follow it and maybe change what you want, what makes you feel better. It's never Lisa's way of doing things or Danny's way of doing things. You have to find something that feels good and works for you. If we followed Danny's way or we followed my way, Danny and I wouldn't be partners right now. We both learned from one another and adjusted, and we're learning from you guys. It's amazing how much we're learning as we go from all the people involved in Agency Remix. Like together as a community, we're growing, we're ebbing, we're flowing, we're building. Right? Danny and I just happen to be, we'll call it the train conductors that are keeping us on the tracks, right? But the whole train matters from tip to tip, end to end, right? Engine to caboose. You just got to get on that train. agency remix isn't, something that appeals to you, still get in touch. Get in touch with us. Let us sit with you. Danny and I both are happy to spend a half hour, an hour with anybody who wants it. You're not wasting our time, and I promise you we won't waste yours. We want to figure out where you're at in your business, and we genuinely come from the idea that we want to help you. 2023 is going to be a game changer for me. It's going to be a game changer for Danny. It's going to be a game changer for about 32 people right now that are in Agency Remix. I know that. It's going to be a game changer for people in the agency fast track community, because I personally only have one goal in 2023 when it comes to my community, and that's more success for you guys. That's my goal. In that, I'll gain success. So I'm not worried about my success. I'm worried about yours. So today on our Monday mindset, and then I'm going to let Danny close us out, I just want you to start thinking about 2023 with excitement, with passion, and know that you're not alone. Entrepreneurship can be so lonely. It can, even when we have spouses and family, because they don't get us. They don't get what we do. So we need to come together as a community and help one another. And I'm excited for that in 2023. Danny, take us home.
Just going to say how I look at it all. I look at me finding how I want to grow my agency and make my living as being a digital landlord. The thing is I want to be able to build a property that I don't want to say, I want to say rent out, but I don't mean it like the pay per lead model. I want nothing to do with that, right? But what I
You want to
mean is
create a solution you
I
can
want to
use.
I want to give someone, I want to build something, an item. In this case, in our case, Lisa, it's our SaaS product. Make it to say, here, pay me rent to use it. And then I get paid. Your traditional landlords, what do you worry about? You worry about someone damaging your property. You gotta, every 20 years, you gotta put a new roof on there. You gotta do this. And we don't have that. We have our other challenges. But some of my most wealthy friends are in real estate. And when they do it right, it's very passive. Nothing's 100% if you ask me, but it's pretty close. And so I drew my inspiration from being able to build something. That's the difference of being a property owner and being a custom home builder. Custom home builder doesn't get paid unless he builds another home. I'd rather own the home, let someone live there, charge them rent. Hey, pay me. You want to be there again? Pay me. And if the property's in a good neighborhood, if the rent's reasonable, if it's close to the grocery stores, if it makes sense for someone to live there, guess what? It's easier to rent out. And so I have basically, in my mind, I have modeled our offering, my offering, local remix, whatever, right? I have basically in my mind said, I'm going to get all my tools and I'm going to build my first property, which is my first customer. It's going to be work. It's not going to be easy. Think of buying a rundown home that's not livable, and you got to go in there and you got to remodel it, refurbish it. It's work. But if you don't do that work, you're not going to get it. You're not going to be able to rent it out. And if you think just because you buy a home that it's going to rent itself out, that's not how it works either. There's lots of people with homes that want to rent it out. But if you choose the right property and put in the right amount of work, it's going to get rented. And then what happens when you rent it out? Just like your typical person, your leasee, they're going to be around a year, 2, 3. If it's a really nice house at a reasonable rate, 5. I mean, to me, that's what I want to do. And then what I want to have is an apartment complex with a bunch of people paying me their rent in a good location. But you got to figure out how to make your first property like a no-brainer. Not easy, but I'll tell you what, when you find that magic recipe, cooking this special dish for someone, and people start liking it, it gets a lot easier to reserve it over and over and people telling you how good it is.
And Danny, I think about when we were at the high level up summit, and I talked to Jason Wardrop, who it was up until recently was the number one affiliate for the longest time. I asked him, how did you get so big? And he said, I sold the same thing over and over and over and over and over. He created his real estate solution, and that's all he sold again and again and again, which I thought of that because how you explain it, like I built an apartment, it looks exactly like this. And I did a prototype until someone absolutely loved it and said, this is the dream apartment. And then I just created a complex with a bunch of those apartments. However you want to look at it, that rinse and repeat is key, is key.
Finding that recipe's tough, but it's also not when you keep it simple. It's getting the confidence. It's telling how good a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is. It doesn't sound like something so simple can be so good.
Yeah.
But if you could say, man, if you're hungry, you could make that peanut butter and jelly sandwich sound really good right now. Maybe with a lemonade or whatever your fancy is, right? And
Getting a lunch hour, is it, Danny?
you'll buy it. Huh?
It's coming up on lunch hour, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's my point. Everybody feels they have to be a 5-star Michelin chef.
Yeah.
All you have to do is recognize when someone's hungry. Or one of my favorite analogies, without people making it personal, is we're nothing more than waiters walking around our restaurant, working our shift, offering a refill on tea. You see someone with an empty glass, you offer them tea. Some people still say no. They're not thirsty. They don't want it. They're leaving it. It doesn't matter. It's not personal that they don't want our tea. They just don't want it. And that's that. And then some people do. Then you get better at being able to pick up on the people that would want a refill. And that's it. I mean, the key's just to realize that, hey, we're there if you want us. If you don't, I'm on to the next person that wants tea. And that's that. It's not personal. And it never should be.
You gotta have the tea first. So, that's the kind of thing we're going to be starting in 2023 on our roadmap in Agency Remix, which is basically SaaS. So if depending on what group you're watching this on, Danny and I are expert SaaS providers, and it doesn't matter if you're using high level, Agency Remix, whatever platform you're on. Having that roadmap and having your products, right? You have to have the iced tea to serve in the first place, and you have to have the mix just right. And some people want a little sweet and some people want a little less sweet. But either way, at some point in everyone's life, they're thirsty. And it's the same with business. At some point in that business owner's life, they need help. They have a problem, and you just have to be the person who comes in and recognizes they have a problem, identifies that problem, and then, to Danny's famous words, says, I can help you with that. It can't be any simpler than the way Danny sells. I can help you with that. He doesn't come in and tell them all about his iced tea. He doesn't tell them a thing about it.
They
He
don't
just
care.
basically says, I have a solution to your thirst. Would you like some? And keeping it that simple. Well, everyone, thank you as always for showing up, for coming. If you're watching the replay, as always, we love your comments. Please put them as you have them. Again, this is my last live Monday Mindset. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be giving you guys some mindset. I'm not going to be giving you guys some free training. It's just right now, I need to stop and focus on a lot of our paid trainings and putting that blueprint together and putting some things together for those endeavors. So for right now, I've got to scale back. I've got to take my time back and do something more important. But I will be reaching out to you guys. I'll still be providing value. Don't worry about that. But we won't be doing these scheduled Monday 10 a.m. calls probably ever. They might come back, but I doubt it. I just found a better new way. This Restream is amazing. So, again, hope you guys had an amazing holiday, whatever you celebrate, amazing weekend. We've still got a good, productive amount of time this week to close 2022 strong. I plan on selling more stuff this week. So I have a good, strong 2022. But I look forward to serving you in 2023. I appreciate you, Danny. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone on this channel, everyone in our communities. Do reach out to us. Both of us are here to help you. That is our only mission in life on these endeavors, is to help you succeed. Let us help you. We can't help you if you don't communicate with us, you don't get involved, you don't participate. So participate more. If there's nothing else on your 2023 resolutions, participate more. Come to more. Ask more questions. Engage more. Whether you're in a paid or free channel, it doesn't matter. Do those things and you will have more success. Guys, have an amazing rest of your holiday, the rest of your 2022, and I will see you in 2023.
Bye bye.